Creating a 3D image from a 2D image isn't something new. However, being able to turn your own 2D image into a 3D image at the click of a button was something I wasn't familiar with at the time. And I thought that if I wanted to make and print my own 3D models, I would have to learn how to sculpt them myself. And let's just say I did one ZBrush tutorial and I haven't been back since. Hence the excitement then when I was told I could just upload a 2D image of something and let the computer robots sort it all out for me. Now, being the skeptic that I am, I wasn't fully convinced that you could get a good 3D render simply by uploading a picture. I didn't believe that the AI would be good enough to fill in all that missing data, but I wanted to try it anyway. So for this test, I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to see what results I could get from a simple design, so I chose my pumpkin logo. I chose this just because like I said, it was simple, and also if it worked, I've always wanted a little collectible version of him ever since I designed him, so this was the perfect test. So in this video, I'm going to take you on a journey to show you my attempt at trying to get a printable 3D file out of my 2D logo. So the site that I use to do this is called CSM 3D Viewer. Now there's probably quite a few of them out there these days, but this is the one I was shown and this is one I've played around with. So when you click on it, this is what you're presented with. This is their landing page. And as you can see, it's got some examples of what you can do. So by hovering over them, it shows you the image, and when you hover over it, it shows you the 3D render essentially. And how it's worked it out from basically using a 2D image. Now you can sign up for free and have a free account, or you can go premium. Now the upgrade plan for premium, I don't know how much it was, I didn't look into it because I'm only here for the free stuff and that's all you need. Although I will warn you, if you're going free, it takes a while to actually render something, so the upgrade plan might actually be useful. And as you can see, you can find it up here or there. And you've got these credits as well, which I'm not quite sure about. And the term Tinkerer, I believe, is what they call a free to use plan. Now, there's a few things on this page when you've logged in, but we only need this one thing here, and it's image to 3D. And all we're going to do is we're going to eventually click on that, or you can drag and drop here, and it basically does the same thing. So, as you can see down here, I've got my assets already where I've been playing around with this. And currently I have one that is rendering a final product, a final image, and I will warn you, it has been going on for some hours now. Let's just have a quick look at the plans then. So the plans you've got are Tinkerer, Maker, Creative Pro, and a Studio and Enterprise one where you have to contact them about that. So we won't bother looking at that. And you can do build monthly or build yearly. Now on the free one, you get a limited low-res 3D mesh on a shared public server, some access to 3D and text 3D, 3D assets, and free starter credits. When you jump up to the next tier of Maker, you get 100 credits for a month for high-res meshes and premium features, and it runs on a fast dedicated server, so that makes me wonder, does that actually mean you will get quicker renders? And then you've got access to Tinker plus premium workflows, animations, all the extra stuff, and some 3D assets. And for the next one, you get Creative Pro, which is $60 a month, which you get 400 credits per month for high-res images and premium features. Again, runs on fast dedicated servers, and same as Tinkerer and premium workflows. So it looks like you get the same access to everything, and 3D models are private and customer owned. Right, that's interesting to know then. So actually, if you pay more, you actually get to keep your own models. I'm not sure how that works, whether if you delete them, then they don't keep them. But anyway, down under here, it just explains to you how your credits work. So 0 credits for turbo, 0 credits, and then it just basically gives you some explanation. Anyway, so that's interesting to know. So noted that if you are free, you are on a shared server, and I don't believe you own your 3D model once it's done. Anyway, jumping back, let's go upload an image. So once you clicked on your image to 3D, you're presented with this little box, and you've got your upgrade plan and guide if you need help. So you choose to upload your image and you can only select one and you drop it in and then you're presented with this. So you can manual image segmentation, which I have no idea about, so I left that one alone. The auto generate high res mesh basically means once you've generated your low res, it'll just give you a high res straight away, which could take hours. Your turbo spins is essentially, I've not unticked this actually, and what it does is it gives you 4 little examples of renders that you can choose from, and you'll see in a second. The next part is your pixel alignment. So you've got lowest, moderate and highest. I'm keeping everything on low for this test. So everything that's set high or I get to choose, I'm going to set back to low because I just want to see what you get when you set everything to low with such a simple design. Now the topology, I'm not sure, I hope it's how you say it, topology. Tries and quads, I don't know how much difference it would make on this, so I'm going to keep it as it is and go low poly and keep the texture resolution at what it was set at. Then you click next and then it thinks about it for a little bit, and after a couple of minutes you've got your 4 examples. And straight away, top right, I'm calling you out because you mostly look like a pumpkin. I just don't know what's going on with your little stalk there. As you can see, as it's rotating, that looks very flat and 2D still. So I'm not sure what happened there. And the rest of them are looking sort of okay. Some of them have obviously just generated the eyes, and I'm starting to wonder now actually, maybe if I delete the eyes off of the image, maybe I'll get a better result because they seem to be all over the place. So that's the thought I've just had. However, you can regenerate the spins, and what it'll do is have another go at it, and then it will give you something else. So let's just see what we get just to see how this works. And after a minute or two and the power of editing, this is what we get. So top right has now been replaced and the thin stalk has gone. Top left looks similar. I can't remember about the other two, but this is what we've got to work with for now. Bearing in mind these are the lowest settings. So after you've got your general previews, you choose one and all you do is click on him and it'll take you through to the next page where he'll generate. And after a few more minutes of waiting, you get to see this. So you are gifted a little pop-up of upgrade to premium again, which basically says to you, skip long generation queues. So yes, if you upgrade and pay, you'll get quicker renders, which if you're going to be using this a lot, actually will probably pay off. For what I want to do right now, I can kind of just leave it because again, I said I'm here for the freebies and however long it takes, that's fine. Now you've got your 3D model and you can rotate and have a look around, and you've also got these options which are quite nice because, oh god, as you can see, you can't notice a lot of stuff in the original render. Oh my god, what is going on? So you've got these options here over your display options essentially, and you can click on a few of them just to get an idea of what monstrosity it has created. Now I quite like the mesh form here, this is quite nice to see, but as you've seen there's a god-awful hole in the well, I'm guessing it's where it thinks the eyes have gone. It might be what's created the hole. So this isn't essential really, I'm not going to work with this one, so what I'll do is I'll jump back and I'll throw another one in. However, just quickly, as you can see, you can download it as it is, so you can actually download it as an image, you can download it as an object file, so if you do want to work with your intermediate mesh before you generate a final one, you can actually download it at this state. And then if you actually have any skills, I suppose, with sculpting and molding 3D, you could actually just go and drop this into another program and then just work with it from there. So this could actually help you in, yeah, just getting started essentially. Jumping back then to my page, as you can see, I've dropped in a few of these already to have a go at, and I've been playing around with all the different features. Well, I say features, selections. So when you go to your upload and you choose your pumpkin, or your image, should I say, my pumpkin, I've been playing around with all this stuff. So I've been playing around with all the different combinations. And yeah, you get some mixed results, and I'll show you. So when you have a finished render, final render, it will appear here. So these two haven't yet. I've not done them. They're still at the intermediate phase. However, if you go on to this guy, he's just finished about a couple of minutes ago, and it took hours to do. Now, again, you don't have to pay attention to the colors because that's not representative of the 3D image, but if you click on him, it'll take you through to what it's generated. And if you go to intermediate, you can see what the original one was when it first generated it. And over to the side here, you'll see that we've got model resolution at high. We did mesh yet high res, quads, but low poly, and we kept it text resolution at 2048. So when you go to the final mesh and you see this, click on the geometry and it gives you that. Now that doesn't look too bad to me. And I have a feeling, if I am correct in thinking, that potentially the low poly count is what's given us this. And I mean, at that stage, it looks more like an apple, if you ask me. But it's given me an actual, like, round, pumpkin-shaped, well, basically what I put in, I guess. My original concept, or my original drawing, is there. So, you know, that's not a bad start. So that's one of the better ones. However, I must warn you when I show you what else I've got here. Pre-warned, I don't know what it created, but let's have a look. There's that, which I don't know what the fuck that is, but you know, it's something. It's creative, that's what it is. We've got that one, which again, isn't too bad. He's just got eyes everywhere, and he kind of looks like the image. And then again, we've got whatever this is. I don't know what it was doing. I don't know why the colours change, honestly. But this one actually, when you open it, again, I mean, the intermediate mesh for this one, that's what it looked like originally. And if you click on that, as you can see, it's got the lines, it's generated sort of 3D lines from the lines themselves. And then when you go to the final mesh, it's generated. I mean, that looks like, from that angle, or that kind of display option, I'd say that looks like a bit of a pumpkin, you know, sort of a battered, beaten pumpkin. And when you put that on, I don't know where that's come from or why it looks like that, but there, I think that's all right. And again, these options were low resolution, high mesh, oh, mesh export was high res. So what's the model resolution low? Tries, low poly, so this is all very sort of high res but low poly. So that's what you get from that. Now, this special little guy, when you load it, or yeah, open it, it does look a bit suspect. And this is what we worked with. So again, the intermediates mostly all look the same. So they've taken the picture and the image and generated a 3D thing. Again, look at that. I mean, I would probably be happy to use that for somebody who's unskilled like myself. And then you get the final mesh, and it's generated all these random bits, and I don't know where they've come from or why. Well, I know where they've come from. They've probably come from obviously the eyes and everything, but why it just throws them everywhere, I will never understand. But on this one, this was a high resolution, high res, tries, high poly count, and the texture resolution was left up to the maximum, and this is what we got. And this is the other final mesh that I've got so far. And again, your intermediate mesh, you know, that looked alright. A little dodgy up here, but, you know, that's not too bad going, considering the resolution was high, so high res, tries, high poly, so this was all turned up actually. So this is quite interesting to see. And if we go to the geometry, again, you can see it's got the shape and everything, and they don't look too bad. And then on the final mesh, look, I mean, it's put the eyes in, so there's indents of the eyes. And I'm quite impressed with this one, because if you actually look at it, all the lines look like a pumpkin now. It's just these bits, because, oh yeah, I forgot about this. There's also this bit. Now, yeah, let's just skip ahead anyway. But on the other side, you've got the eyes. And on it, oh my god, oh yeah, no, I forgot about this one. This is the horror one. So as you can see, it actually looks like it's got a face, which actually I do think is quite cool. I'm going to keep this one because I quite like it. It looks like it's got a bridge, a nose, sort of a mouth, and it's got 2 eyes there. Now, if I had the skills, I would probably drop this into a 3D app. I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to name any because I don't want to out myself as being that uneducated about it. And I would probably sculpt, you know, that, make it a bit more. Maybe just, in fact, actually, I'd just get rid of all these bits and I'd keep that as a face and I'd actually print it off like that. So that actually might be my next project now. I've just thought about it. So after a few more hours of playing around and waiting for my final meshes, I managed to get 2 that I'm happy with. So I've actually got an intermediate one and a final mesh that I'm happy with. So let's start and just show you in Lightsheet, I brought them in. This is how tiny they come. So if you imagine, well, don't have to imagine, you can see the size of what I'm working with. So there's my build plate size, and that's the size of my pumpkin. So I had to quickly do a quick repair on him. And then I scaled him up. So I went for 500. And that's what he looks like. So just rotate him so we can have a look. And come down and see what we got. And there he is. And again, you can see it's done the 2 eyes. But it's not really done them anywhere else. So that was the intermediate mesh. So that was the first one I got. And as you can see, it's quite smooth. It's some little indentations to show you it. It's a pumpkin from the lines that are on it, and it's got its little top piece. I also got the final one. And there we have the final result then. So on the left hand side, as you can probably tell, that is the intermediate mesh, and on the right hand side was the final result. And again, it's generated 2 eyes here. But unlike some of the other ones we were playing around with, it hasn't generated them anywhere else. And underneath, you know, not too bothered because it's going to be sitting on something. It looks fine. But I was quite impressed with the fact that it actually did a, well, segmentation. And it's actually created, you know, a fine looking pumpkin. After that then, it was just a test print essentially. So I actually decided just to leave them at the size they were, just a little diddy selves, and because I thought they were quite cute at that size and I wanted to see what they came out like. So I just got them all set up, I got them all sliced and everything and ready for printing. And now, as you saw, I did actually use the auto generate because I was being lazy, but yeah, it was crap as usual. So I just went in and put some quick supports in myself, not being too careful with it really because it's quite a simple print really. And I did the same to the other guy. So just did the general, you know, auto supports and then filled in where it did not actually give him anything. And then I sent it off to the printer. And here is the results then. So I'm really chuffed with this actually. They've come out really well. As you can tell, on the right is the intermediate one and on the left is the higher res one. Let's just take a quick look at both. And I have to say, even the low res or the sort of intermediate one, I think it's done a really bang up job with what it's created. It looks like, you know, a pumpkin, doesn't it? It looks like the image. I'm quite happy with that. And on the other high res one, again, I think it's just even upped it a little bit and made it even more like, look at those textures, all those, like the lines, the segments and everything. It just looks really good. So I'm really pleased with this. So my next stage after this then, I'm going to get these 2 painted up, but I also want to make a bigger one. So I went and jumped back into Lightsheet, and I got rid of the other intermediate pumpkin and kept the high res one, where I then enlarged it to 5,000%. And looking at it now, I could have probably actually gone even bigger, but that was enough. I think 5,000 was a nice rounding off point to see what we would get. And I put some drainage holes in it because, of course, it being such a big print, you don't want a big chunk of resin. You want it to be hot. Oh, actually saying that, no, maybe actually, yeah. Oh, there's an idea. So, yes, no, actually, maybe one day, oh, this would make a really good, like, doorstop, wouldn't it, actually? Or some kind of paperweight. Maybe I do need to make it as just one big chunk of resin. I don't know how much that would cost, but, you know, That's another idea. So anyway, going back to what I'm actually doing at the moment, I've hollowed him out because of course it'll be quicker to print and it will use less material, so less resin. So let's give it a whirl and see what we get. Now unfortunately the first attempt failed, as you can see. So it's obviously printed halfway through and then the layers are separated, and it's continued to try and print some of it, but it could not print it all. Now, this is normally due to when you're printing hollow prints, if your holes are not deep or big enough, I suppose. It's kind of like a suction issue. So many innuendos there, I know. The holes deep, big, suction. But this is 3D printing. And yes, so that was a complete fail. And on as a bonus factor, it also put a hole in my vat tank. So my FEP sheet now had a hole in it, which also meant that it leaked resin everywhere. So my protective film is now also null and void, so I need to get rid of that, and I need to replace both of them. Luckily, I've got some spare. Well, one of each spare from the last time this happened, so I quickly jumped in and replaced everything. I quickly jumped back into my slicer then, resliced the file after cleaning up my printer, and here is the result. It worked the second time around, hurrah! So this is the 5000% print, all fully painted up as well, as you can see, and it came out amazingly. I'm super happy with this. And here is another one I tried out after that successful print. So this one was scaled up to 1000% in hopes of printing him off a little bit quicker. But also I wanted to sort of get a feel of how big I would want them to be if I started printing off loads. As well as those two then, here are the original ones, all painted up as well, just to join in the painted family. Super happy with the results on these ones as well. I think they've come out really well. I'm not trying to big up my painting skills, but I think they do just look really nice all painted up. My only issue I'm having is this little fella rocks around. As you can see in the print, on his little bottom, he's not quite flat, so they do tend to have this weebly wobbly effect. So this was something hard to come across and realise in the 3D files alone. It wasn't until I started printing these out that I found this out, so this meant I had one task left to do. I quickly dropped the file into Blender to see if I could do a quick fix of smoothing out their bottoms. I didn't record any of it at the time, so I can't really show you what I did, and I can't tell you either because it was all guesswork on my part. But a quick 10 minutes messing around and I had a new file to try. In order to test this file out really quickly and to see if I had made any difference, I opted for a small print. But not as small as the original ones. I scaled them up ever so slightly, but not as big as 1000%, and that gave me this guy here. As you can see, he now sits better, but he's still not perfect. But for a quick go at something I know nothing about, I'm happy with this result as well. We keep getting results, and you know, it's a work in progress. He doesn't wobble around as much, but I don't think he sits as fully flat and flush on the surface as I'd like. You can see that he kind of leans off to one side and looks a little drunk still, but it's an improvement. That didn't stop me though from printing and painting a few more using this file, and here we are. I wanted to try out some different colours and some faces and expressions, and I wanted to see whether the black key line that is very prominent in the image itself would translate well into the 3D. So I opted to paint all the sort of segments and stuff with the black lines on it. I don't think it's worked as well as I'd hoped, but you know, that's what the experimentation was for. I think they look fine without it. And here is my happy little pumpkin family. I'm super happy with the results. There's still a few tweaks that need to be made to the file, but for the purpose of this video and just seeing if I could get a print from a 2D image, I think it's worked out amazingly. But that about does it for this video, really. I hope you enjoyed it, and a big thanks for watching, especially if you've made it this far. I really appreciate it. I'll hopefully see you again sometime, but until then, bye!